Welcome to the Chiropractic Society of Rhode Island's podcast, Get a Spine. My name is Dr. Michael Gottfried. I am a chiropractic physician at Aquidneck Chiropractic in Middletown, Rhode Island. And with me today, I'm very excited to say, is my guest, Margo Crawford, who is a productivity and time management coach with Wave Productivity. So we're going to hear about that, and I'm very interested in hearing about it. We can all use a little bit of productivity assist, I think. I perhaps have been guilty from time to time of procrastinating here and there. My daughter this morning called me and said she's got a home-based, she does website work, and she said, can't really get started that much this morning. I'm procrastinating a bit. So we'll hear from tips on that. So Margo, can you fill us in on your background, how you got to be a productivity time management coach?
Sure. I started in the industry about 17 years ago. I used to read books on organizing and productivity as just for fun. And I had a friend who approached me and said, I really feel like I'm a mess. I can't get my work done. I really need your help. And I sort of worked with him. So many people saw a change in what he was doing. They're like, what happened? What did you do? I want that. And I started doing this as a business. So I got lots of training under my belt over the past 17 years with different methodologies and ways of working with people to be more successful with my clients.
And what might that training be then? What kinds of training does one go through?
So I've been through coaching training as a certified coach. So I'm a certified productivity coach. I've also done training with David Allen's Getting Things Done, with his seminars, other really popular methodologies that people might know about.
Okay. And what would be your typical target audience or typical target client that you would be dealing with, and what would their typical issues be?
Sure. So I work with serial entrepreneurs. These are people who have more than one business or who have started more than one business. And I work with them generally because they're very visionary. They have lots of ideas, but often don't get a lot of traction. So they have great ideas, but the actions aren't happening behind them. And they can get very frustrated with that. So working with serial entrepreneurs, they also have a lot of information coming their way, more than one email inbox, more than one person to delegate to, teams of people. And so working with them on managing all of that in an efficient and effective way. I also work with C-level executives. A lot of them are dealing with leadership issues, and they also have problems with email management, time management, information management. It all seems to be coming at them very quickly. They need to make really quick, sound decisions, and sometimes need to kind of have someone to just bend an ear and listen, because there's no one in the organization who truly understands. And then I work with really high achievers. These are people who meet their goals 110%. And generally they're coming to me, not so much work-related, but work-life balance. So I had a client who was great at his job. He was getting promoted often. His work was really stellar. But he said to me, I can't get home and put my daughter to sleep. I just want to be home and read a bedtime story to her. And we worked for a couple of months together. And a great email that came through for me is when he emailed me to say, I made it home by 6 to have dinner with my wife, and I was able to put my daughter to bed and read her a story. So those were the success stories that I love to have with clients and the people that I work with.
And this is how it dovetails into what Chiropractic Society is about, and chiropractors is your mind, body, and spirit health. And so you can't be healthy if you're overweighted in one area of your life, and certainly many people in their jobs, that's where they're overweighted. I used to start a seminar that I would teach in stress management with juggling, and how that we often have to juggle in life between our again, our work life, our home life, and then our personal life. And oftentimes, unfortunately, we drop the ball, and that's where you can help by making sure that there's balance, for sure. Making sure that there's that people have the time to do what they need to do. I can't count on my many fingers and toes how many times somebody said, I don't have the time, right? So, and as we get closer to the end time in life, time becomes more and more precious, right?
Absolutely.
So we have to keep people on top of things. So with this unique time in our history with the COVID craziness, do you have certain ideas or suggestions? What kind of issues have you seen people dealing with on top of, say, the normal craziness in life?
Sure. So I, a very quick and fast way, work entered into our home lives in a way that we never expected. And from that, people were juggling childcare, pet care, prepping food, all of these things that took away at times from the work that they were doing, or vice versa. It could be that work is the place where we feel best in a crisis, where we succeed. And in that, it's comfortable to be doing more work. Studies have shown since COVID has started, we have actually increased our workday by about 3 hours. So if you were working a 10-hour day, you are now working a 13-hour day. So making sure that you do have that balance, making sure that when you are sitting at your desk, that you aren't distracted, that you have a plan in place, and that you have a routine. So what I was finding often with a lot of my clients who were dealing with transitioning to working from home was that they weren't being held really accountable for the work that they had to do. So actually set up an accountability group with business professionals where they can check in the morning. Here's my plan for the day. Here's 3 things that I need to work on. And then we have specified work time for an hour during the day. And then they can check in at the end of the day and say, this is what I accomplished and this is what I got done. You don't need a group to do that. You can just grab one person that you know, a colleague or a friend, and say, I need to be held accountable.
That's great.
Yeah. It works well when you're going to the gym, but it can also work well when you're just doing work, that you have someone there who can support you and help you manage throughout the day.
I like it. I like it. I need to put a lock on my refrigerator because I tend to spend a lot of time in my refrigerator when I'm at home.
That's right.
Which perhaps isn't the most productive. So, well,
is a huge part of making sure that you're productive. So making sure that you're choosing snacks that help replenish your body, make you feel really good and not weighed down. So when the afternoon hits and you have that drop in energy, that you have a snack that can actually kind of motivate you and kind of move your energy forward.
Sounds like a plan. And I do like the idea that there is a plan in action because obviously when left to our own devices, there are some people who are good self-starters, but not everybody is. And so certainly, like you said, having a buddy to be accountable to makes a lot of sense. I like that a lot. One of the things that I always tell the patients, especially now, again, because we're spending so much time in front of the computer, is that I don't like to see them sit in front of the computer more than 30 minutes at a time. Now, when I say that, they look at me like I'm crazy because oftentimes we get locked into the computer and what we're doing, and 2 to 3 to 4 hours later, you know what I'm saying? And so I like people to take a stretch break every 30 minutes. And, so I show them some simple spinal stretches that would assist them in awakening their body and their mind. And it's actually more efficient to take those breaks rather than to try to push through, because towards the end of pushing through, as you know, you're just going to get more tired and less efficient. So
studies when you're able to take breaks throughout your day, even if it's just a short 5-minute break, it can actually improve your output and efficiency in what you're doing. It sounds counterintuitive. Take a break and you'll get more done, but that's actually what happens. Another thing that's happening in COVID is that we're all in these virtual meetings. And so just taking a break from looking at the screen and looking at the camera can help. We all might feel exhausted after we've had 3 or 4 virtual meetings. So just stopping, taking a look out the window, and then coming back to the screen can just help in managing some of that energy.
I was getting zoomed out for a while, a few weeks back. Too many Zooms for sure. So then I go the other way and I try to cut them all out. Somewhere in the middle, again, we have to create balance.
That's
for
right.
sure. So do you have some, what would you say would be your single best, if you could narrow it down, tip for people in managing their time and productivity?
So one of my favorite tips comes from David Allen from his book, Getting Things Done. And it is the 2-minute or less rule. If you can get it done in 2 minutes or less, just get it off of your plate. So whether you need to buy it, send it, sign it, fax it, whatever it is, if you can get it done in 2 minutes or less, just get it done. Emails will sit in our inbox where they just need that quick, okay, got it, thank you, email that comes through, or something's sitting at your desk that's paper-based, that just lies there, that if you just took the 2 minutes and got it handled, you'd know that you were in control of your work. I was working with a CPA during tax season, and he started implementing this. And he said he just felt like a rock star. It was a complete game changer for him to incorporate this into his workday, and he felt more in control.
That's great. I do know a couple of CPAs who obviously get swamped for a couple of months before tax season, and they're there 7 days a week, 12, 13-hour days, trying to kick things out. And it makes sense to prioritize and get rid of some of the stuff so you can feel successful on a day rather than, well, I'll put it off till tomorrow, and then the next day, and the next day, and the next day. Let's talk a little bit about your hobby, your passion, your other passion, aside from productivity coaching. Tell me, we talked a little bit about surfing and where you've been and some of your adventures. Which let us know about that.
Yeah, so I started surfing about the same time that I started my business, about 17 years ago. I took the 2 things that I loved, catching waves and productivity, kind of put them together, which is why I named my business Wave Productivity. But it really speaks to what happens with my clients when they contact me. When they first contact me, it feels like they're holding back the tide of the waves that are coming to them of email and work and overload and overwhelm. And so it's really about kind of understanding those tips and techniques that are going to help with organizing and productivity, being able to use those, and then being able to surf those waves instead of feeling like they're just clobbering you down. But I have been surfing for, like I said, 17 years, and I've traveled all over the world. I've been lucky to do that. Australia, Africa, Costa Rica, some of the best breaks in all over the world, and it's been amazing. But I would have to say that my favorite beach is my home beach here in the South Coast. We have some beautiful beaches here, some great waves, and some excellent places to really catch some really sweet waves.
All right. Well, I've always lived near the ocean. And yet I've only tried surfing once back in high school. But I'm living in Newport now, and so we do have some good surfing in Newport. So come on down and show me how to surf and be productive. So tell me the truth now. Have you ever done any business on the beach with your...
I have. Hard to exchange business cards when you're kind of coming out of the water, but I have done business on the beach, and that's a fantastic way to do business. It's no different from golfing, where you would, get in a golf cart and chat. You're just out in the water, and sometimes business comes up and it seems to make sense to be talking about it. So yeah.
Good for you. Good for you. So what's the best way for our listeners to reach you from the standpoint of, I mean, these days, actually, we have so many ways to reach people, and yet sometimes it's actually difficult to reach people. So what's the best way that people can reach you?
They can go to my website, waveproductivity.com, and there are multiple ways. You can just click a button and we can set up an appointment to talk.
So that's the best way to do it. Wave Productivity
Yes.
website, and then they click the button to contact you and they get you.
That's right.
That's awesome. Instead of 10 phone calls back and forth.
Yes.
I like it. All right. So this concludes our podcast for the Chiropractic Society of Rhode Island. Dr. Margo Gottfried, and the name of the podcast is Get a Spine.